So, hello, beautiful people. How was networking? Woo! The energy is out of the room. So, there you go. So before I give space to Bill to give you a wonderful keynote, we're going to do a small energizer just to kind of get the juices flowing, as I know. Yeah? I mean, like jumping jacks, but it's maybe too radical, I don't know. Something easier, no jumping, I promise. So basically, what happens usually at the lunch, as you might know, the blood rushes to your stomach to kind of support the digestion process. So what happens is that we are lacking the blood in the upper part of the body, especially. So what I would ask you now is to leave your laptops, leave your phones, and kind of just stand up. No jumping, I promise. Just stand up. And preferably, you're going to have somebody on your left and somebody on your right. So it's going to be a very simple exercise. Can I use you? So yeah, just grab the person on your right and kind of start slowly doing this, like breaking those nods, rushing the blood in the head to support it, Give it a few minutes. Off. I can try. So once the person up front is okay, you turn to the other side and return the. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah. That's wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Bill. Wonderful. So thank you, guys. Now that we are kind of stretched, grab your seat and get ready. Do you prefer?
Am I live? Yeah. I'm live. Awesome. And we have the right slides. Do you want my back? Hi. Thanks very much for coming back after lunch. Very much appreciated. I'll try and keep this as interesting as possible so that we can take that massage momentum and keep it moving forward. So this morning we had a lot of conversations around the ecosystem and how to get advice and things like that. My role at the conference is I'm one of the advisors, and what I'm going to talk about right now is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow in the master class. So this is a brief preview. And this no longer works. Cool. So the core point here is going to be this. The most important thing you can ever have in your startup is a paying customer. I started with a much more definitive version of that title, which was, until you have a paying customer, nothing else matters. But then I decided that was a little too blunt. The most important thing is having somebody who's willing to give you money for what you're doing. And until you have that, you don't know what you have. Okay. Cool. So why should you listen to me? So what this boils down to is I like to build stuff. I've been VP of engineering, I've been a CTO, I've been CEO at 2 startups, I've raised a lot of money, and right now I basically help people figure out how to run their companies. I like to build things. It's what I do. So in the summary of the talk, so just so you know what I'm going to say, almost everything of interest happens after you have a customer. They will tell you what you're doing right. They will tell you what you're doing wrong. They will ignore you when you say stupid things and applaud when you say clever things. And until you have that person, you have nothing. If you don't have customers, go and get something. Get them. And then design your company, not your product, your company, around keeping your customers, keeping them happy, and iterating and expanding your market. It's an important point. Career CTO and CEO likes to build stuff telling you the customers are the most important thing. This is not quite on par with Lucifer leaving heaven, but it's close. So everything interesting happens after you find a customer. Go get them and make sure they're paying customers. It's really easy to get people to download your software, visit your website, etc. If they don't have skin in the game, they don't count. So was I clear enough on that one? Because tomorrow, 2-something hours of me explaining how to actually take this and put it to work in your company. And really, so what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to explain it. I'm going to tell a story about a company that I was peripherally involved with. Some people I know launched it. They tried to hire me a few times. I never said yes. They went public on the NASDAQ, are now valued in, double-digit billions. So it's a company called Okta. Who's heard of it? Okay, they went public in 2017 after being founded in 2009. Incredibly successful. I was there at the beginning. It was founded by my friend Todd. I turned down head of engineering twice. And I was really right the first time and kind of right the second time. And just so you know, Silicon Valley is filled with people who say, I was there, and they weren't. That's LinkedIn, and that's Todd, and he's connected to me since July 29, 2008. Really, I was there, I know Todd. And he wanted me to run engineering. And Todd, super bright guy, amazingly bright guy, also an incredibly nice guy, an incredibly ethical guy, founding VP of engineering at Salesforce.com. And was SVP of engineering at Salesforce.com and said, I want to go do my own thing, I want to be CEO. Left Salesforce to solve identity in the cloud for the enterprise market. A huge problem that they had at Salesforce. So he started with, Todd is super bright, has a shining success of Salesforce.com on his name, has a huge problem solving identity in the cloud, and he raised money on that. And he raised money from potential, one of the top 5 VCs in the Valley, a firm called Andreessen Horowitz. They wrote him a check. They said, you are bright, you got a great team, you have a huge problem, here's a check, go solve. So, interesting. And I kind of went, but what's the product, Todd? I don't get it. And he went, identity. And I went, I don't really understand. Are people really, I don't get it. So I passed. And it turns out I was right. This is a comment from the Andreessen Horowitz blog, 2012. And it says, it's Ben Horowitz, the Horowitz of Andreessen Horowitz. And he said, I was excited, but the first couple of years were tough. So tough that they'd make most people want to quit. Sales were slow and money was running low. Faced with the prospect of running out of cash and no way to raise, interesting, right? So this is Todd and Andreessen Horowitz. And then he goes, they reworked the strategy, improved the team, and found the way out. And, in 2019 terminology, would you say they pivoted? But fundamentally, what I want to say here is he began in about the best possible way. Super bright people, incredibly good team, tier 1 VC, cash in the bank, but no customer and no real idea of what the customer really wanted. And 3 years later, he was out of money. And the point of this is not to be sad or depressed for Todd. He went through stressful times. The point is, this is about as good as you can get. This is like the tier 1 team, the tier 1 VC, and without customers, they built stuff that didn't succeed. So then, he called me up in 2012 and he said, hey, you want to run engineering? And we figured it out. We finally figured it out. What we want to do is not have identity servers. We want to have a server that manages the identity. So when you hire somebody into your company, you've got to give them a Salesforce account, you've got to give them all these web service accounts, and then when you fire them 4 months later, you've got to remember to remove them from all those accounts, and nobody really knows how to do that. And you have full-time people whose job it is to add people and remove people from your corporate identity servers, and people are willing to pay us for this. And I went, wow, that makes sense to me. You found something that people want to pay you for. And that's really an impressive business, and I'm stunned by how good it is, and I got to pass because, oh my God, that sounds boring. And that's why I was kind of right. It was a great business, so I was right, and it was boring, so I was right, but on the other hand, they went public for billions of dollars, and I missed. So I walked away. Key points: amazing team, amazing VC, huge problem area, almost died. And they built the wrong thing, and then they had to rebuild it once they found a paying customer. And they only survived because Andreessen Horowitz is actually a really good VC and was really supportive. Most VCs in 2012 would have said, "Ah, that's really nice, go find a job." So, happy ending, nice NASDAQ market cap. And in the master class, we'll talk more, not about Okta, because you know everything I know about Okta at this point, but about what this means in terms of how to run your company, how to design your company, what to go after, how to find a market, all those things you should do before you write a line of code, before you build a product. And that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say today.
Great. Thank you so much, Bill. Joining on the stage now is Frank, who's going to give us the next keynote, and then we're moving to the QA. So Frank, floor is yours, just to get you set up. Or the regular one?
Let's see. The normal mic is okay.
The normal mic is okay. It's working. You got a mic.
Yeah, it's fine. It's great. Okay, so I don't know what the topic was about, because on the schedule there was written something about fundraising, but then in the detail there was something about growth. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible about growth, because that's the big topic that we usually talk about, and less about fundraising, which for sure you're going to get a lot of masterclasses about in the next days. My name is Frank. I'm one of the managing partners of Fast Forward Advisors. What we do is innovation and venture consulting for a couple of stakeholders in the tech ecosystems. Go on the website for all the details. I don't want to take too much time on that. We work with 6 different types of stakeholders, and we leverage the knowledge, the operational knowledge with ventures, and try to work with all these different stakeholders to provide them services. So when it comes to startups and scale-ups, we have 2 major services. One is about growth, and the other one connected with it is about fundraising. So I'm going to explain a little bit why this growth and fundraising is so important, and who says, no, it's not so important, is actually not telling the truth. When you look into Silicon Valley and so on, and you look at these big rounds of investments, it's not just a bubble. It's also because there are big opportunities and big teams building solutions to problems that are very big. So about growth, the good, the bad, and the opportunity. We'll see. I will show you a couple of slides, and different people understand growth as different things. So you talk to someone and you tell him, "Hey, I'm helping startups with growth," and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can help me." Sorry, this is. You can help me what I'm reading on the news, which is I always read that people can do things and like grow 300% in 3 months, and I want to learn that. I want to know what these guys are doing. I also want to grow 300% in 3 months. So that is one thing that people understand about growth. Having the silver bullet, knowing that one specific thing that works for everybody, and then just do that one. Okay? So you go to whatever media, and they will bombard you with this kind of knowledge. This is actually media. This is fiction. This is someone explaining something, sometimes overestimated, just to make news, because that is what you would read. If they would say, how we increased our revenue 300% in 18 months after struggling a lot and having a lot of problems and a lot of boring stuff, you would not read it. Okay, so it's much better to say how in less than 3 months we just got an IPO done. That is much cooler, much more sexy. The second thing that people think when you talk about growth is growth hacking. Very nice word, super fancy, super fashionable. and people trying to tell you, yeah, growth is easy, you just need to find that one hack, you know, like you can get users for free, and everything is super easy, and everything is hackable, you just need an engineer for a couple of hours, will write a script, and you will get hundreds of thousands of users. This is the second story that they're telling you. And they're selling books, they're selling advertising. Who of you goes on Facebook and at least one time in the last month saw an advertising about growth of a business? Okay, 50%, and I think there is a lot of students here. So, I mean, you are getting targeted by these things because they are selling you, again, easy, simple things on how you're going to grow. Simple things, the hacking, the lesson, the book, the course, the master class, the mastermind, whatever it is, they're trying to sell you that when you have their system, you're going to grow, and it's going to be easy. And the third one is about when you learn about growth, when you read blogs or content from tools that are actually trying to sell you their product. So they're teaching you topics so that you learn the topic, but based on their product, so that you buy the product and get locked in by the product. Some examples, Close.io, like these are products to do sales automation. Again, it's a very complicated word, but it's how to automate or get a grasp on your sales process. And you will go on the 3 different websites, they're all competitors, and all of them try to sell you their course, how to do things, but always putting it in perspective of their own product. Why? Because they want to lock you into their product so that you will never ever leave. Once you have the CRM in HubSpot, okay, you have 100,000 contacts in there, they will make it very tough for you to get the contacts out of there. Why? Because they want to keep you there and sell to you. Now, this is the marketing technology landscape. So these are all the startup and companies working in marketing and in sales technology. And all of them are doing the same thing. All of them are telling you, hey, come to make our course, our certification, our thing, because we know how to do things. And all of them are trying to lock you into their product. Now, it's very stressful, and you don't know actually who is actually telling you really how it works. How does growth work? Like, the fundamentals, what do I need to do? Because everybody is just selling for the sake of selling. Selling you the product or selling you a course, a book, or whatever it is. But they're not selling you what to do. Like, what do I need to do? Okay? So, this said, these, in my opinion, are the big topics. So it's a good thing because that means that the market is very big. Growth, like growing your company is very important. And non-growing your company is the major problem in the market. So it's not about the product, technology, mindset, ecosystem, funding, grants, bureaucracy. It's not about that. The problem is about growth and enabling that growth for your company. Peter Thiel, Founders Fund, former PayPal founder, writes in his book, poor distribution, not product, is the #1 cause of failure. And this is top-notch VC. It's not someone here that tells you a story. This is top-notch VC that tells, you know, we get a lot of very cool founders with very nice product, but the problem is that they don't know how to sell. So it's not just here. When you listened this morning to Jan, he was saying, we have a lot of technical skills, we don't have marketing, or marketing or sales or soft skills. Actually, it's not even just through here. It's a general problem. And it's not soft skills or marketing skills. It's just having a growth mindset, which is I need to push the things as much as possible. Mark Anderson from Anderson Horowitz from the last discussion. This is the other guy. Many entrepreneurs who build great products simply don't have a good distribution strategy. So they just cannot distribute. You need to distribute them fast. Now, in my opinion, growth is the most important thing for a startup. And why? Because it's the only metric that matters. I don't care what you do, and no VC cares what you do, as long as you don't show them that something is working. Why? Because they get so many ideas, so many tech, so many products, and the only way how to filter them out in one step is to say, what are you doing right now? Is it growing? Do you have users? How many? Is it growing? Is there growing interest? Yes? Okay, then let's have a chat about your technology and your product, not the other way around. So traction trumps tech and product, totally. So if you have traction, I don't care about the product that you're selling. You can also sell paper, I don't care. Because if you have traction, there is an interest on the market. And generally speaking, for tech, and this is specifically for tech, growth fuels more growth. So you want to grow, and usually this growth can enable you to grow even more. Why? Because if you show some initial interest, it's like a pyramidal system. You show interest from 100 users, you might get more money to get to 10,000 users, and with 10,000 users to 1 million users, and so on and so forth. So it can snowball. Specifically for digital and for certain type of business models and products, this is very true. So you want to show growth. Why? Because you can then grow even faster. In my opinion, again, and I think a lot of investors would agree, growth has to be fast and at scale. So there is no way that you will sit down and say, yeah, you know, I'm growing organically, I have my product, my technology is super cool, now I'm developing, I have 100 customers today, tomorrow I'm growing a little bit, but it's fine, I'm organic, I'm not spending too much, I'm growing not too much, but it's okay. That doesn't work, that doesn't work. That worked maybe 30 years ago, 20 years ago, now it's not working anymore. There are certain elements to it. You have super short product life cycles, and not just in digital, you have them overall. A lot of pressure. One app that you have today, in 2 years, in 1 year, you don't use it anymore. And this is also with physical products. You might have one Fitbit today, and in 1 year, it's not cool anymore. So you need to be fast to get the product out there and monetize that technology as much as possible, because the monetization lifetime is very low. Okay? And there's a lot of competition. The technology is very accessible, so it means that everyone can step in and just make competition. You know, you have an app here, tomorrow in Zagreb there is someone else doing the same thing, just much more aggressive, much more growth focused, and just trumps you in 3 months' time. So there is no safe haven. You have faster and global competition. I mean, I can name you companies that are now doing stuff in Asia that will come into Europe very soon. So whatever you're doing, there is another company that is raising money somewhere else and coming into your market, sooner or later. So you can prepare for it and try to grow as much as possible to have a positioning. So for you as a startup, there is pressure. So why growth? Because first of all, if you have, you need to start focusing down. So if you have a lot of competition, a lot of things going on, you need to focus on niches, because too many things are happening. You know, even in startups in sports, I heard, I don't know, like maybe 500,000 companies that are doing something in sports. So you need to drill down, focus, super focus. But when you focus, your local market is not good enough. So you need to expand. So growing, it's always about growing. And having that in the mindset is very important. And then, last point, growth and fundraising go hand in hand. So if you think that if you're growing, well, you know, I don't need funds, I'm doing well, you know, that's not true. You want to grow, show growth, and then fundraise. You want to fundraise. You don't want to say, no, the VC, the bad world, you know, we don't want to raise money. You need to raise money, especially in tech, because that fuels your growth. You can grow faster. You can grow more aggressively and dominate that market much faster. So growth and fundraising together, hand in hand, is very important. So if someone tells you different, I think they're wrong. And this is, let's say, the quintessence of, let's say, the Silicon Valley mindset. So if you want to like put it down in 2 words, it's growth and fundraising. They have a lot of money and a lot of growing businesses that are impacting globally. I mean, Google is not just a US company. Google is a global company. But any other company that you look into the US is built for global. It's not built for local. Yeah, and then with growth, you have a lot of different challenges. I mean, one thing is to make sense of what's next, what is happening. You know, it's not so easy. You sold your product to 10,000 people here in Belgrade. Okay, perfect, nice. Now what's next? What's next? What do you do next? Do you go to Croatia? Do you go to the UK, US? Do you try to do B2B? Are you going into strategic partnerships? Do you do more tests? Do you try to dominate the Serbian market first? What do you do? It's not so easy. Second, or in this order, third, then first, growth is not just marketing. It's not just, yeah, let's go into Google AdWords, Facebook marketing, and just throw down some Facebook, and then we're growing. It's much more technical. It blends into product. It blends into engineering. It's a very complicated topic, okay? And it can become very technical and quantitative. So as an example, and I have 5 minutes left, the idea is that more and more growth teams, if you look, for example, as a trendsetter US, the growth teams have growth engineers. So it means people that actually look into numbers, not into marketing or into creatives. And there is a lot of tools that help you define which design works better between one advertising and the other without actually knowing anything about design. You just throw out thousands of ads that have all different graphics and different words, and this platform is going to tell you these 5 ads work better than the others. So you don't actually need an expert anymore that tells you, yeah, but you know, this advertising works better. You need engineers that look into the data. And one thing, the challenge is, when do you do product market fit? So when do you work on product? When did you find something that works? Then what is the point in time where you go and experiment the market? And when you find something in the market, when do you actually go and push in that market and put money into that market? And when then you close the cycle and go back and do again product. So this is a very tough thing. Not a startup thing. That is also true for Google or Facebook. I mean, you might see them doing different things on the product, but how do you balance it out? Okay, very important topic. So growth, when you think about startup growth, is not just marketing, not just sales. Hey, I want to do lead generation. I want to get 1,000 customers more. No, it's about a lot of other things. It's very deep. Growth is very deep. It's not just acquisition of users. Is it sustainable? Is the user staying with me 2 years or 3 years? Or is after 3 months, is he leaving? Okay, because then maybe the money spent that you have is not good enough. So all of this information needs to be accounted into your growth thing. To give you an idea, the VP of growth, and generally growth people, growth engineers or growth marketeers, in the US, that is like the leading market for these kind of roles. In Europe there are, but it's still not so seen. They're still splitting them up in sales or in biz dev or whatever. In the US, they have roles. So it's VP, SVP, VP, growth, and so on and so forth. To give you an idea, these guys need to have, I was taking it from Angel list, 8 years in global sales and marketing experience in the product that you're in, plus 3 years in product or engineering, because you need to work with the engineers and do experiments with them, and if you don't know what GitHub is, it's going to be very difficult to talk to these guys, right? So it's like the product manager just with marketing and finance knowledge, because he needs to drive the company into those numbers. The average salary, and I'm not talking about Silicon Valley, the average salary in the US by Glassdoor, 200K plus stock options. That is the most paid position in the US in pre-Series A companies. So that is the kind of issue that you have. So what we do, what we think is that growth is is a change of how you do things in a company. It's not about which tactic, which process, which thing. It doesn't really matter. You need to have a system. Like every one of you knows the lean startup. No? The lean startup. What does it help you? To focus on what to do. Doesn't matter which company you're in. If you have a tech product, a non-tech product, you can use it. We do the same for after that, for after product market fit. How do you create a process, a framework that works for every kind of company and helps you drive that growth and know what to do next? What kind of experiments, how to brainstorm, how to find those experiments, how to run them, how to validate them, and how to close. So that's it for me. If someone is interested in more specific topics, this is a very highly technical topic. We can go into very technical things, multivariate analysis if you want, but the idea is that this is what we think is growth. So to solve it as a framework, as a process, and have it replicable for every company so that they know what to do next. Thank you.